Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. With every breath. Bawa Muhaiyaddeen points to his big toe and says, if an ant were to crawl on one's toe, its movement would be experienced through one's feeling and awareness. Similarly, the movement of the dhikr should be distinguished using the different levels of wisdom. Just as feeling perceives the crawling of an ant on your skin, it should perceive the movement of the dhikr as you draw it up from the toes, saying, La ilaha. Awareness should locate where the dhikr begins. And just as intellect recognizes what is crawling, it should also identify the power that is the dhikr. The intellect should draw this dhikr which flows along with the words La ilaha, while intellect is pulling, feeling, and awareness must join with it and move along. You must be aware of all of this in the same way that one is aware of an ant crawling on the body. As the dhikr moves along, assessment should be controlling its flow, acting as a brake. Assessment determines where to halt the dhikr and where to let it flow. While assessment controls the flow of the dhikr, subtle wisdom monitors it and identifies the areas in which it is functioning at each moment. Just as feeling, awareness, and intellect inform you that there is an ant is creeping here, crawling there, scratching here, or biting there. Similarly, feeling, awareness, intellect, assessment, and subtle wisdom should check on the movement of the dhikr and make you aware of its flow. As subtle wisdom monitors its flow, you will be aware of its movement in all the skin pores, all the nerves and blood vessels, and throughout the flesh. When its sound falls on the nerves, which are similar to the strings of a veena, its music is heard by the ears and the inner heart or the qalb. This has to be known by feeling, awareness, intellect, assessment, and subtle wisdom. You should focus on this sound heard by these five levels of wisdom. As soon as the dhikr rises up and enters the heart, assessment halts it there, while divine and analytic wisdom, saying other than you, separates that sound from the breath and hears it. Bawa Muhaiyaddeen demonstrates sitting cross-legged, erect, no particular posture, both hands extended forward, slightly closed and facing downward, with both wrists resting on the knees. The eyebrows, hairs, breath, mouth, and tongue all experience the movement of the dhikr, and the tip of the tongue flutters as if it were playing a flute. There, as each level of consciousness unfolds, the wisdom of awareness must split off the sound of the dhikr from the breath. Just as a flutist with the tip of his tongue directs the air in a way that will bring forth the melody he has in mind, you must, with a gentle trill of the tip of your tongue, not moving it too much up or down, blow on this inner flute, separating off the sound of La ilaha. There is nothing other than you, O Lord. This thought or remembrance must do the separating and pass the sound along. Feeling must separate it and pass it along. Awareness must separate it and pass it along. Intellect must separate it and pass it along. Assessment must separate it and pass it along. Subtle wisdom must identify it and separate it and pass it along. Finally, divine analytic wisdom must separate that sound of La ilaha, other than you there is no Lord. As the breath rises with this sound, and the dhikr must rise up to the arsh, crown of the head, the throne of God. Question: does it go inward? Bawa Muhaiyaddeen: accompanied by La ilaha, the breath flows upward from below, does it not? As it rises, there will be a fluttering of the left eyelid, causing the breath to split off. With the word La ilaha, with a glance of the eye and a quiver of the lips, nose, eyebrows, and forehead, the dhikr is drawn up to the arsh. Here it is separated from the breath by divine analytic wisdom with the sound of La ilaha. There is none other than you. The breath is then drawn down and pushed out through the left nostril with the thought, go away. It must ride out on that sound, that vibration, which is wisdom. As soon as the breath has been pushed out through the left nostril and inhalation begins through the right nostril, there will be a slight movement of the right eyelid or right side of the forehead, or right eyebrow, or right nostril, or the lips. With this movement, divine analytic wisdom should point to the Nur, the light of God. Although the Nur is within everything, filling everything, divine analytic wisdom should now point to it, to God. Subtle wisdom must perceive this. Just as awareness earlier perceived how the La ilaha came up from below, that same awareness must now attach itself to the Nur, light of God, while saying Illallah. Feeling must also grasp it, intention, niyat, must grasp it, intellect must grasp it, and assessment must grasp it and control it, subtle wisdom must grasp it, divine analytic wisdom must grasp it, saying, "There is none other than you. You alone are God." Having grasped it, divine and analytic wisdom must put it along, saying, Illallah. And with a trembling of the right forehead, draw it in through the right nostril and install it in the inner heart, the qalb. This too you should be aware of. Awareness, along with the other levels of wisdom, must attach itself to God, to His light, which is the Nur. Wisdom should be aware of its attaching itself to the light and drawing it along. In the same way that awareness knew how that La ilaha moved and came up from below, it must be aware of this illallahu, grasp it, identify it, and establish it in the right side of the qalb. It should be aware of the movement of this weighty word, illallahu, as it is being drawn in on the breath through the right nostril. From there it should be taken up to the kursi, the Gnostic eye, at the center of the forehead, between the eyebrows. Here a heaviness will be felt when the breath is being drawn in, indicating the point between the two eyebrows. Bawa Muhaiyaddeen says, "This is the center of divine knowledge. Ghanam. It is known as the eye of wisdom. There is light here and also a feeling of heaviness. It is the dhikr pausing in this station that causes the heaviness or pressure. When the pressure builds, the dhikr goes in through the brain and descends to the back of the tongue to the throat. You should feel it descending. At this point, the breath should again activate the flute at the tip of the tongue, saying, Illallah. You alone are Allah. This is where the sound separates from the breath. Accompanied by that sound, the dhikr should move downward to the heart. The vibration here is Illallah. You alone are God. As wisdom affirms this must also be aware of the place in the heart where the dhikr is being installed. When the musical sound is being separated and passed along, it will cause the 4,448 blood vessels, the nerves, and the pores of the skin to resonate with the sound Illallah. You alone are God. Just as the strings of a musical instrument vibrate when plucked, bringing forth music, the sound of the vibration of Illallah will be experienced all over the body, in every nerve, in every hair follicle. However, if at this stage our concentration wavers, if the mind strays from its focus even slightly, we will not experience this. It will not be dhikr. There must be one pointed concentration of our whole being, feeling, awareness, intellect, assessment, subtle wisdom, and divine analytic wisdom. These six, along with divine luminous wisdom, should be concentrating one pointedly on the dhikr. All seven levels of wisdom must function as one. Like guards, they should be monitoring its flow. Your heart and your gaze should be focused on that point. Bawa Muhaiyaddeen explains further. When you say La ilaha, these six sections should draw the breath upward from the tips of the toes in the same way that a pump suctions out the air in order to draw dirty water up from a well. And just as the pump then pushes out that dirty water, the six states of consciousness push out the impure breath with the words La ilaha. Other than you, there is nothing. This water belongs to the world and it is being pushed out. The remembrance of there is nothing but you draws up all the impurities, all the evil qualities, desires, and maya or illusions right from the toes. In this way, the energies of our evil qualities and the properties of our maya are all drawn up and pushed out into the world where they can nourish the crops of maya. Thus, the water within is gradually purified. The motor says this water does not belong within you. It belongs outside, and it pumps the impurities out. When you say Illallah, you alone are Allah, the motor of awareness connects that dhikr to the light which is the nur and draws in its current. Using the seven levels of wisdom, you draw God's current from the nur, then experience it and install the light in the inner heart. the vibrations, the movements of the face, the glance, the wisdom of awareness, all these come into play at this time when that light power is being drawn along, accompanied by the sound of Illallah. Not only should you be aware of these, as well as the sounds and resonance, you must understand their significance and also experience the power of that light when you say Illallahu. You need to be aware of the manner in which the light is drawn forth and the way its resplendence fills the qalb. You should even perceive that light and feel the power of this current filling the qalb and then flowing from there along all the wires throughout your body. Thus, that which is drawn down from the crown of the head to the heart on the incoming breath is a current, whereas that which is drawn up from the toes on the outgoing breath is the air of the base desires, nafs. Those base desires are drawn up from the depths of our body on the air and are pushed out. While they are being drawn up and expelled, feeling, awareness, intellect, assessment, subtle wisdom, and divine analytic wisdom combine to check on the various parts of the body from which the base desires are being drawn. This process works like the passage of air through a flute, or like a pump. It uses the breath to draw up the base desires and bring them to the motor, which isolates them and throws them out, saying, "Other than God, there is nothing else. Go away." These base desires belong to the five elements, earth, fire, water, air, and ether, and are drawn up and cast out, saying, "God, the one is real, not you, go." This part of the dhikr is conducted through the agency of air, through the La Ilaha. The air of the outgoing breath is used to suck up the gases and vapors of the base desires and expel them. This breath is known as the moon breath. Chandira kalai is one of the 64 arts or kalais. Through the chandira kalai, the gases are drawn up and then thrown out as you say, "Go away." Nothing exists but God. This is kalai ganam. These impurities are strummed by the kalai and pushed out, just as the strings of a stringed instrument are strummed to produce the sound ting, ting, ting. The music of the kalai draws out things that belong to earth and pushes them out through the left nostril, saying, "Go away." The breath drawn in through the right nostril is known as the sun breath. Suriya kalai. It is light. This sun, which is wisdom, should be drawn in by the current of wisdom and taken up to the nur, which is God's light and plenitude. That which exists as the wisdom within wisdom is Allah. Contact with this wisdom has to be made by divine analytic wisdom. When the contact is made and the power is being drawn forth with the words Illallah, feeling, awareness, intellect, assessment, subtle wisdom, and divine analytic wisdom shall all discern which areas of the body the power is being drawn through, just as they did when the dhikr was being drawn up from the toes. In the same way that a voltage tester is used to check the flow of electric current into a light switch, wisdom should be aware of the flow of this current. On the voltage tester, a bulb will glow if the current is flowing. There are also built-in safety measures to protect the person holding the tester from danger or electrocution. Just as this instrument detects the flow of electric current, divine luminous wisdom makes sure that the current is flowing steadily and verifies what divine analytic wisdom is bringing along. It checks to see where the dhikr is at each point of time and whether it is reaching each switch, one eye, the brain, the arsh, each station. It must touch every switch to make sure, thus as the dhikr is being drawn for saying, Illallahu, divine luminous wisdom, must touch each station to see whether the current has reached each location and is descending as it should. All 7 levels have to be functioning correctly. Monitoring the current accurately as it is being drawn along, they check on the sound, the current, the light, and finally install the current in the inner heart, qalb, saying, Illallah, you are God.